something like this. Look at a
When an accident occurs, the ECall device will establish an emergency call to the nearest emergency services. This enables the vehicle occupants to communicate with the trained operator. At the same time, essential data about the accident is transmitted, including time, precise location, and vehicle identification. Armed with such crucial data, rescue services can reach the accident scene twice as fast. This could mean the difference between life and death for the accident victims.
Die legislative Entschließung namentlich. Die Abstimmung ist eröffnet. Sie ist geschlossen. Angenommen. Herzliche Gratulation. Ich komme zum Bericht von Herrn Werner Langen und
The ECall in-vehicle system is a device in a car that actually allows, when a severe accident happens, that the rescue services are alerted automatically. It's in the case of severe accidents, which means that the system is triggered when there are sensors in the car that indicate that there is a severe accident by an airbag, for instance. But at the same time, to avoid the situation when the alarm gets in the case of a less severe accidents, there's also a voice connection back from the public safety answering points to the car to really ask what happened. It's safe concerning the data protection because it's based on a dormant SIM card. The system is not active, is not transmitting any data unless an accident happens.
This is a sneak peek into research, so we're looking into future networks and the development of the new technologies for future networks like 5G. So we start with the use case which is actually vital for someone, and then we look at the technology. How you go about it, you could do something like this. Look at a relevant use case. What we have here is a demonstrator of remote controlling an excavator over mobile networks. With a use case like this, they could be living in a city but digging 50 kilometers away or 500 kilometers away up in a remote location. And by a flick of a button they could actually dig in Russia in the morning and then in Canada in the afternoon, basically. So what we've done here, we have a camera with a 360-degree lens streaming video over to a computer, and that video is mapped onto a 3D dome where we have a virtual camera inside, and we have a pair of virtual reality goggles with head tracking. So when we move the goggles, we have them on and they track your movement, and you rotate the virtual camera inside that dome, which gives you the impression of actually being inside the excavator. Full HD, 100 millisecond latency. What we see is that the user experience isn't good enough, because the image isn't good, the image quality isn't good enough, and the latency is too high. That gives us research answers that we need to have better quality. So if full HD isn't enough, we need to go to 4K. And the thing is, we also need a sense of depth, because if you're digging with an excavator, you need to know exactly where you're digging. And to get sense of depth, you need stereoscopic 3D. So you need 2 image streams of 4K each. That means 8K of image data. And we need to have a latency roughly less than 50 milliseconds. And that's, well, basically there's no network that can handle that today, but 5G networks need to be able to handle that for a use case like this to be possible. The bottom line is that the user experience is defining the criteria, because if the user experience isn't good enough, we won't be using it.
We wanted to make sure that this floor, the remaining floor, that there were no voids under that. So we had to do test drilling all in this area to ensure there were no voids under this, which there was not. And then there had to be calculations made on it once we determined what size cranes that we were going to use, and that's determined by the length and the weights, the length of the boom, the weights of the cars. And once we decided that, then we had to calculate to make sure that the ground pressure that those cranes were putting on the earth would not collapse the walls of the excavation. So there's a whole lot of behind the scene things going on. We've probably got a dozen of our own folks, and then we have subcontractors. Hayward Baker is a geotechnical engineer and drilling contractor. They probably have a dozen folks on their staff. They did the test drilling initially for us, and now they are drilling the micropiling around the perimeter of the outside of the building while we do this phase of work. Unlike building a building where you work for 2 months designing a building, drawing the plans, you know, we're doing it as we go out here on a project like this, and it being so unusual. We were just so proud to after this thing taking a 30 or 40 foot fall and lifting it out, set it on the ground. Bob Hellman with the National Corvette Museum got in the car, cranked it up and drove it out. Absolutely unbelievable.